Okay, so constructing the power chord. That means we're so close to being able to play all those amazing songs that use this type of chord. I can promise you a huge amount of music utilises these. It's going to put you in really good stead for the rest of your guitar playing. So let's start by looking at our index finger. We're going to go up to the 5th fret again. We're going to go this time to the 5th fret at the lowest E string. And we're going to tuck our first finger just behind that fret. Now, you notice that we've got a bit of a curve in the first finger here. We're not laying completely flat yet. The exercise we did before in the previous lesson is going to put us in really good shape to play our bar chords later on. For now, we haven't got to worry about complete pressure here. We're going to have a little bit of a curve. The pressure we want is going to be in the tip of the finger. Our 3rd finger is now going to stretch across to the 7th fret of the A string. Our little finger then goes underneath that on the 7th fret of the D string. Now our 2nd finger, it's kind of left in no man's land for a minute. But later on, we're going to be able to use that a lot to shape different chords and make different sounds. But for now, we're just going to rest that 2nd finger on our 1st finger. Hopefully, we should have our lowest E, our A, and our D coming through nice and clear. Now remember the X's we spoke about in the chord boxes? Well, that's relevant here because our 1st finger, where it's got that little bit of curve and not too flat, not applying too much pressure, it's muting the G, the B and the E. So that when I strum all 6 strings, we only hear the top 3 that are fretted. You can start to hear why it's called a power chord. So good things to bear in mind with these chords is we don't want our wrist to be pushing out too far. We don't want this bend going on because that's going to make it harder for our 1st finger to mute the strings and to be able to get the pressure that we need. Likewise, we don't want our wrist coming up too far so that our thumb goes over the top. What that does is really hinders our stretching ability. It's so hard to do that. So we let our thumb drop and our thumb drops to sit behind the neck like so. That allows our fingers to fan out, stretch where we need them to, and apply the right amount of pressure and get that right curve so that G, B and E string are not coming through. So at the moment, our 2nd finger is resting on that 1st finger, but don't worry if that comes across a little bit and kind of protrudes in the middle like so. You will see that very often, especially as you start to move those chords around. The 2nd finger doesn't have to be resting flat on that 1st finger the whole time. Also, if you're a big fan of Nirvana, you will see that Kurt Cobain plays these chords in a slightly different way very often. He will use his 3rd finger to lay flat across that A and D string rather than using his little finger. Now I just want to mention as well, as we're on the 5th fret, we're playing an A note there. Our 1st finger is playing the note A. If we used our chromatic scale, which is mentioned in the scale section of my first of the Learn Guitar series, if you want to check that out, we can work up chromatically, open E, F, then F sharp, then G sharp, then A. We have worked up to the 5th fret, we're playing the note A. Whatever our 1st finger is playing, that is going to be what this power chord is referred to. This will be an A5. Now the 5 exists because we're playing the 5th of that note scale as well. And that 5th exists here with our 3rd finger. It's an E note. So we've got our 1st, which is the A, and then the 5th note of that scale is E. Then our little finger is playing the octave of A. It's the same as the 1st finger, it's just an octave up. It's a higher version of that note. With our 1st, our 5th, and an octave of the 1st. We have A5. Now this is where these chords can be used chromatically even more. If we slide that up one, we're in A sharp. We slide it again, we're in B. Once more, C. C sharp, D, D sharp, E. And so on, back and forth. So you've learned A, you've now learned all of those chords in that shape chromatically. Fantastic. Also, if you wanted to take that 3rd finger off, so you've just got the octaves, that's a pretty cool chord to use as well. And there's a song we're going to do in the next lesson that uses these octave chords. So brilliant, we've got A5 and we've got that shape wherever you want it to be. Same with the octave. So what a good way to learn your fretboard as well. When people say you need to learn your fretboard to be able to jam with other musicians, know what notes you're playing when you're in certain positions on the fretboard, well, you learn that note as A, you've already learned double the amount of notes because you know that's A as well. So if that's A sharp, so's that. If that's F, so's that. Really cool way of learning your fretboard. So we've got that shape. Let's move all those fingers down one string. From there, our first finger goes down to the A, third finger goes down to the D, little finger goes to the G. Second finger now rests on top of that E. Doesn't press down too hard. We don't want that note coming through. We want nice muted low E string. Our other fingers are in place. Our first finger's still got that curve. It's helping mute the high E and the B. We have another power chord. With this time, we've got D5. Our lowest E string, our B and our E are being muted, and just our A, D and G are coming through. We used our chromatic scale to work out that root note if we want to. Open A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. Whatever our first finger's playing, that's the chord, that's the root note that we're creating. D5, D sharp, E5, F5, F sharp 5, G5, and so on. If you're doing the one with the third finger, you just need to make sure you have that nice curve so that it's not pressing down on the E and the B. We're still muting the E, the low E. We're using the tip of our first finger to do so, just like that. We still get that nice power chord sound. The octave is still applied to this as well. First finger's playing the D, so's the little finger. They're both D. So suddenly, we know that's A, and so's that. We know that's D, and we know that's D as well. See how quick you can start to learn your fretboards. It's great. Now we've mastered that, let's get playing some songs.
Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please think about giving us a little like and a subscribe. And if you want to go further, remember you can hit those links in the description and you'll get access to the full courses. I hope you're feeling confident and creative, and I'll hopefully see you in one of the larger courses one day. Or for now, just have a little scout around on the YouTube channel and see what else you can find. Take care.